When was the last time you took a leap of faith, trusting that everything is going to work out? Do you crave growth, or are you merely content with the status quo? If you want more out of your life, out of your career, and out of your relationships, you are in the right place. Take the leap and discover how to create a life by design rather than living it by default. Real success starts with you. Now here's your host, Colleen Biggs.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Take the Leap. I am your host, Colleen Biggs, and as promised, week after week, we have some of the most amazing guests that are going to share areas of their expertise that you're going to be able to take some of what you learned today, and you're going to be able to utilize that in your personal life, in your business, maybe in your career at corporate America. I know we have a lot of listeners that aren't business owners. They're also in corporate America. I was at my getting my teeth cleaned, and my dental hygienist said, "I listened to your podcast. I absolutely love it." So we just never know who's, out there listening. And today I have Krystylle Richardson with me, and untapped income and risk. When was the last time on this podcast we've talked about untapped income and risk? We might think, oh, I would love to learn about untapped income, but then there's a risk to that. Well, we're going to explain all that today in just a few minutes when we get to talking with Krystylle. But before we do, I do want to thank our sponsors of today's show, Peaceful Living. And why do we allow stress to compound in our lives, affecting our sleep and our daily rituals? The truth is, we all live with stress, but imagine what it would feel like to not suffer from stress. Are you ready to feel better, sleep better, and change your overall relationship with tension? Peaceful Living can help you bring more peaceful moments into your day. Peaceful Living offers simple tools, live streams, and on-demand classes, and a customized self-care success plan. Imagine if you had a simple way to slow down and restore your energy without taking big chunks of time away from your schedule. We all want that. Well, it's possible, and they're there to help. And the founder, Roberta Hughes, will be your guide each step of the way. So make sure you visit Peaceful Living online and the link that we have below to begin your journey with a free membership. Use code LEAP to receive your first month for free. And I can tell you, as a member of her online community, I love the Pilates challenges. She helps me utilize special classes for what I need for hip openers and all kinds of things for being at a desk all day and everything that I do. So I can't thank her enough for being on this health journey with me. And today, Dr. Krystylle is going to be on our wealth journey with us. And Dr. Krystylle was given the name years ago. Listen to this, the Untapped Income Coach, aka the Wealth Innovation Strategist, because she helps high net worth individuals and corporations worldwide to discover how to flex their innovation muscles to create low risk, endless streams of income, time freedom, and have fun doing it. She calls this creativity to cash flow. It sounds like a board game. Like, have you created a board game yet out of that? You should. Hey, Robert Kiyosaki and everyone did that, so why not? As a little girl, she was bullied for being smart, cute, and unique. That caused her to be a loner as a creative intellectual, but she channeled it with God's help and was able to go from being a kidpreneur back in the day to a sought after mind across over 40 countries. So first of all, Krystylle, welcome to the show. So
Thank you.
Okay, kidpreneur, we got to get back to it because I just said it. What did you do as a kid? When you were younger, what did you create? What were you doing? And how did you stand out that created who the Krystylle is today?
Who the Krystylle is today. Well, who the Krystylle is today wants to first just thank you for allowing me to be on this show.
Oh, yeah.
It's always awesome, amazing, and great to be with you. And you came to celebrate my birthday one year with the homeless and all of that. And so really appreciate your give back as well. But yes, we were not called kidpreneurs back then in the 60s. So I'm giving my age away, which I'm not ashamed to say that next year I will be 60. And Kidpreneur. So back in the day, my brother and I, we would do all kinds of odd jobs. And it started at home with our mom and dad and with our grandparents and in the community, because our house was the house where everyone came to play and even work on projects, because there were a number of single moms in the neighborhood. And so my dad was like the dad of the neighborhood. And I was the tomboy. My brother's 4 years older than me. So I played football. I climbed up on the garage. We would rake the leaves together and we would jump off the garage into the leaves, Colleen. That was not really padded, right? But yet
we never did anything safe back then. You know, they didn't have enclosures on trampolines back then. We actually flew off the trampoline. Yes.
Right. And so we did have a real ladder, but we actually made the ladder that we climbed up. And so again, you know, hammer nails and you know the planks that we had and all of that. It was all about making and doing and creating. And so yes, the leaves in the neighborhood, we would rake our leaves, but the neighbors' leaves, so that we would have even a bigger pile. And so we would get paid to cut rose bushes and to shovel snow and to rake leaves. And my brother had a newspaper route back then. You go knock on the door, you know, collection day and collect the money for the newspaper. And he would give me a portion of that. And so, you know, we were doing that whole model back then too. So it was really, really a time that I will never forget, because I really had a really great childhood, and going to church with my parents. And there were even things that we would do at the church to help with the gardening and the flowers and the whatnot. So we were always working on something, always.
It's beautiful. I love that. And I think many of our listeners can probably think back to when time was a little different, right? I was raised in the 70s. You were raised in the 60s. They're very similar decades, because my husband is 61. So him and I are always trying to find differences between how we were raised. And it was pretty much dang similar. There was a lot of that. When I say 8-tracks, he's like, there's no way you knew an 8-track. I'm like, that's how I listened to John Denver. We had an 8-track in our house. Like, maybe my family wasn't as advanced to get, you know, all the other stuff, but I had an 8-track, you know, long before I ever remember a cassette tape or, you know, then CDs and on to streaming. But I'm glad that you said that, because back in the day, we all had this mindset of working and doing and working, and it was hard. You remember that kind of mindset of growing up where it was like hard. So for someone to think about untapped income, or to someone to think about, oh my gosh, to you know, innovate and be this strategist, like, how do I create that income without working harder? And I only have 24 hours in a day. And what you're telling me to do is just going to be no way. So obviously you have a whole different view on the way that you approach this, so that people are able to do more with their time and create more and generate more, because we can't generate, you know, more hours in the day other than having individuals that we bring on that are doing what we're doing, and we can dedicate that time. So tell us about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I want to go back to a couple more examples from the childhood perspective too, because those are things that we did, you know, to make a little money, but it was also the creativity and the innovation part, Colleen, where, you know, we would make our own go carts. We would just find different parts and pieces that were stray parts and pieces, but also we would take some things apart from time to time and put it on whatever it is that we would want to make. And on Christmas, I would get a Barbie set, like she would model going back and forth, and you turn it on. And then the next day I'm like clicking and it won't come on. Well, my brother took the motor out and made something of his own in his room. So what did I do that night? You know, snuck into his room and took something of his apart and then made something. And so what I'm saying is, when we talk about untapped income, part of it has to do with our mind and our ability to create and innovate, and thus the creativity to cash flow. So creativity too, and then it's cash flow, like in our pocket, because we can do anything and everything that we would like to, if we just put our mind to it. And that goes to Napoleon Hill, right? You know, anything that the mind can conceive and believe, we can achieve. And so I'm able to have where I teach people how to teach themselves to think about what they think about, and to have what I call innovation transference. And so if there's anyone watching this that wants to write that down, that's key. Innovation transference, as well as element 10. And I'm going to get into what that is. Like you said, how do you do that? Well, ladies and gentlemen that are in the kitchen, you have 3 cans and you have a cucumber. And it's like, okay, I'm going to open up these cans and I'm going to mix something together. I'm going to take the air and make something. I'm going to cut up this cucumber and I'm going to make a full meal out of just 3 cans of something in that cucumber. And it's going to taste delicious with the spices and whatnot. And I have an outfit. Oh my gosh, my belt broke or this is not working right. So you innovate and you come up with a really, really cool outfit with not exactly how you wanted it to be, but how it was meant to be so that you could have that innovation. And I can't tell you how many times I've been in the kitchen and there's like one ingredient I didn't have. And those peanut butter muffins that drooped in the middle, and I put some peanut butter or chocolate like in that droop, they looked beautiful and they taste delicious, but it was a mistake because it dipped in the middle to rise, right? And so when you do that, you can transfer that from a mindset perspective. And that's part of what I teach and how you can innovate in business based on using those same skills and flexing those same muscles. And so the element 10 is that I believe and have proven with the various people that I work with is that every single person on this earth should have and can have 10 sustainable and substantial streams of any income at any one time. Doesn't mean 10 jobs. It means streams of income. And so that was what was featured in USA Today and Yahoo Finance and some other things related to what I do, is that it's very, very easy to think about what you think about, but then how do you put that into practice, which is the part where, people like me and different coaches and whatnot come into play, is how to use those thoughts and put them into action, the execution. But you have to have, as you know, Colleen, that burning desire to actually do it, because you have to take the action. You have to take the action. So I work with a lot of different types of people, people just starting out businesses too. It doesn't have to be that they're high net worth, but the ones that are high net worth, they get it. And like they're already a doctor or a lawyer or something else. And they have what I call the second wind, something different that they want to do or put out into this world. So I work with corporations and high net worth individuals all over the world to do what I do.
Don't you love the energy, even if it's someone who is a nurse? Like I have a client who's a nurse and now, she's starting up a podcast and she really wants to get away from the traditional medicine because many nurses know that that's not good. Second wind, right? So they have this energy. Someone starting up a new business has this energy. Someone going into an MLM, I always know they're like, oh, we love your energy because you're so brand new, and you're all fired up about it. That energy and that fuel and that spark really can, explode. And what I say is, not having someone like Krystylle by your side, what happens is you kind of go off on all these different directions because you're not really sure what to do. And it's kind of like this squirrel moment where you're like silver bullet squirrel and they're all over the place. And you're like, whoa, let's rein this in.
Yeah.
To really focus on what you said, those 10 things, and kind of keep them on a path where now you're getting them to flex that muscle. But I love what you said. Napoleon Hill, one of my favorite books. I just literally had a training with my clients 2 weeks ago. We spent a half a day on Napoleon Hill and the burning desire. We can't create the burning desire for you. You have to have the burning desire.
Right.
You find that, right, Krystylle?
Yeah. And that's why what you said was very key, the people who have all this energy, right? And energy is king, but it's what you do with it. And I actually, when you were saying that, I was sitting here, I'm like, yes. And I'm like, yes and no with, there are people that are all over the place. I love those kinds of people as well. And I'll tell you why, because I do something, it's a half a day session, you can find on one of my websites, buildthatbiz.com, where, we do a spider diagram with all of this energy that you have for all these different things and map all of it out. And then what are the common skill sets? What are the common threads? And then who do you have in your circle that can help you with this, and this? Or, what is your potentially what you're thinking your 1 year, 3 to 5 year plan? And what do you want your legacy to be? And then hone it down into something that you can actually put daily goals to, and then have some things in the parking lot. Because guess what? I did say 10 and I meant 10, because these days, and with COVID and the economy, there's wars, there's all different kind of things going on where the risk comes into play. All these things are going on. You have to be diversified.
Yeah.
You have to be diversified, and you have to look at what are you doing to implement the various parts, not one, but the various parts of the cash flow quadrant.
Yeah.
So if you haven't heard of that, or maybe you have and you haven't looked at it for a while, look at the cash flow quadrant, and it will change your life, being able to understand that. And so yeah, those people that have where there's things all over the place, that's fine. And we go woo, 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 and run around the center that I bust out the door, and I'm like, yes, because once they see that they can take all of those things into something manageable.
That's the answer. So when they have all of that, it's great. But when they don't have someone guiding them, then they just kind of take off and they run out of fuel really fast, because they are trying to implement a lot of it at the same time, where you're sitting there mapping it out for them, saying, let's hone in. There's parking lots. There's this you should do now. Maybe this you could do later. That comes from the experience of someone like you that has been doing this since you were walking, right? It comes from that honed experience and that is great, because they do have a lot of ideas and they are full of the energy, but without the guidance, that can burn out pretty quickly.
And without the books. The books. And so, yes, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. However, favorite of all time, and I love sharing, and I talk about it all the time, is Outwitting the Devil. Outwitting the Devil. Do not just read that book, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my gosh, you have to get the audio, because she made sure that with her and Don Green, that they had the voices of the devil and the voice of the narrator and how it goes back and forth. Get the book, mark it up, and read it and listen to it at least once per year, because that book will change your life. Another book also is Make Your Kid a Millionaire. And it starts at age 0 to 5, and then 6 to 8. And then, it goes up and up to adulthood. But even if you're already an adult, that book by Laurel Langmeyer is amazing. How it can outline what you can be doing already. So, and the money book, Tony Robbins, there's like a lot of different books that can help, but you can't be all over the place. And so part of that is, helping people to do that, and then making sure that I do that myself. I just did a post this morning that I love sharing my expertise, and love having where, I live my life in a way that that is honorable, first of all, to God, but also, and giving him glory. And then also having where I share the wisdom that he's given me. And so I have to take the wisdom myself. And so the end of this year, there's a number of things. It's October, going on November, December, having where I put more focus on completing some of my end of year goals too.
I'm glad you mentioned all the books, because, as part of my journey in becoming, replacing my income, I'm just going to start there, and then doubling my income, and then tripling my income. And that's really what my goals were, coming out of corporate America. And I hired coaches to work with me. And I also read a lot. And all of my clients know this. A lot of people in my circle know this, and they'll be, because I give books a lot as gifts, and they'll say, we know you like to read a lot. I'm like, you should too, because you should be spending every morning reading and filling your mind with education. And if anyone knows me, my Think and Grow Rich book is like almost so torn up. There's tabs everywhere. There's highlight. And I just keep rereading. It's like a manual. It's like you don't read the Bible once and set it down and say, I read the Bible.
Right.
It's a manual. You go back, you highlight, you read, you get inspiration, you study. We study. That's what I think, based on, and I love the audio. Sharon is just an amazing individual. And all of these books have really tried the test of time, where, it's not called Do and Grow Rich. It's called Think and Grow Rich. Right. That's that whole mindset thing that you talked about from the very beginning, Krystylle. And I know, just like you do, when people are really wanting to grow their income and, they're looking for someone to kind of see a perspective they can't see. They're asking you to tap into all this energy they have and create a blueprint, a pathway. And it sounds like that's what you do. Now, I know you do that with individuals, also high net worth individuals, maybe them starting businesses, or, second wins, like you talked about, attorneys looking to, maybe they've had a 20-year career, 30-year career, and they're looking to do something else. You work with corporations worldwide. Did you want to talk a little bit about that and the corporations that you work with as well?
Yes. And so I've been in I kind of lose count now, but it's over
Sure.
40 some different countries live. And part of that was while I was in corporate America and helping the various branches, for instance, GE Healthcare, I was over 7 different branches in 7 countries. Phoenix was the only US site. So Norway, China, Japan, India, Austria, some other place that I've forgotten what the other one was. But the thing is, with that, and then with all of the different countries I've gone to with other positions and with ministry, we do medical and ministry missions. And so there's been a lot that I've been able to translate and go back and forth with what I do from a religious perspective as an ordained minister and missionary, also coupled with what I do in corporations and being able to go and audit some of those corporations. Some of you may have heard of like CE marking and 1345 or the FDA. And so we're on break, we're on lunch, and they're like, oh, so what are you going to be doing this summer? And so I tell them, and so even though I have to write them up and give them like 10, 15, 20, this one company, non-conformances, I've had to give them non-conformances, they're like, oh, well, we would like to have you borrow or take some telemedicine equipment or these supplies or that supplies. And so being able to cross and do some of what I do there has been key. And then recently I've been doing a lot with my book and with risk in public speaking. The 51 Powerful P's of Public Speaking is one of my main books that I've been able to take to Turkey, to the UK, to Kenya, and other places where there's now universities that are going to be certified universities to offer that book as a required reading for their business school, for their leadership school, and being able to open up ICE centers, Innovation Centers of Excellence, ICE centers in these various universities as again, a required set of curriculum, because a lot of people don't necessarily tap into all of what they could from an innovation and creativity perspective. So they may have an entrepreneurship program, but not necessarily focused on mindset, creativity to cash flow, and what we all can do to be innovative and then monetize that. So there's a number of different ways that I work with these corporations, and then some of them outside of what I've done corporately, they'll call me back to work on some things with them as a contractor. So I have each year a number of 1099s that I have, for taxes. So
yeah. That's so wonderful, Krystylle. I definitely did not start off saying that Krystylle's one of the kindest, sweetest, most loving, giving, generous people I've ever met. She's invited me numerous times when she's serving the homeless to volunteer, does a lot local. I know you do a lot. Now you're helping put curriculum into colleges because we need that. The schools need help. Let's just say that, like from the time they start through college, we could use a different, schools were created for people to be in the industry, to be factory workers. Let's just go way back from the beginning. That's why school was created. And a lot of it has not changed since the beginning. In fact, schools are taking a lot of physical education out, a lot of the other extracurricular activities out that are really needed by these children to be able to learn. I mean, I know you and I both were in sewing class and homemaking class, and we both created things back then, like shirts and things that kids don't create today, right? As far as they went on finances, were teaching us how to balance a checkbook. I think that was about as far as it went, right? It really didn't go much further than that. So what you're doing, I just want to commend you and say thank you, because the schools do need kind of this makeover, and the more that we can add these additional curriculums think of all of the jobs that are created from someone that goes through that class, that goes out and starts their own business, and now they're successful because of that innovation and creative thinking, and can employ so many more individuals.
Yeah. And that's the second, there's 2 different 9-week sessions. And the second 9-week session, that's a requirement, is that you have to start your own business. We go over like how to set all of that up, and based on your country, what permits and all those kinds of things that you need to have. And so I want to go back to what you said, though. I did not take home ec and I did not take sewing because my grandmother and my mother did that. And so I was sewing and making up recipes, as a child, watching them. I don't measure anything, and people are always asking me for my recipes. And so I give them like approximations because I do love to cook. And even when you were there, I cook for 200-300 people, once a month. And we do it in the gym, and then we take it out to the community. And even sewing, people have asked me to make their wedding gowns and different things like that, because I sew a lot of my own clothes. And for Wakanda Forever, I made an outfit for Chadwick, for that See It Pass, and so that movie, I made my own outfit and my crowns and whatnot. And I have an Antoinette collection right now that I'm doing for myself with the full tail and the gloves and all of that. And maybe in 2025 or so, I'll start selling those. But I love to do all of that. And that was from my parents. But what I want to say about what you said is that a lot of people, yes, have untapped income. And even if it's that you don't even really want to start a company, you don't have to want to do it, but you should do it for the tax write-offs. And then plus, you have so many different things inside of you. There are over 970 million people worldwide with anxiety and depression disorders, 970 million that are diagnosed. And then there's all of us that are walking around undiagnosed. And it's because you haven't, and I have to say you haven't, because I have where I do the things for me to help me discover more and more every day, different things that I can do. And now whether I do it or not is up to me, but it is where people should have, where you do something that stretches you, where you do something that increases, like we're talking about reading, and increases your mindset, increases your knowledge. And then you decide what to do with it. But there's only 13% of the US patents that are by women. And there's way more women, walking around here that have ideas. And why, ladies, are we only at 13%? So, if you look at trademarks, it's higher. And I have registered trademark for innovology for what I do for innovation. But there's so much that we can be doing. But some people, they don't want to. They just want to live a life like this. And that's great. That's fine. We need those people too. Because I say without the people that want to be janitors, a lot of us would be walking around here with nose plugs on, because we need to have people to clean and do different things, right? Yeah. You go to the big convention, I was just at Joyce Meyer's and TD Jakes, 16,000 women. If those restrooms were not cleaned by somebody who wanted to do that, or at least had a job, we would have been in a world of hurt, and no one would have been in there, because all of those restrooms would be stinking up the place. So it's okay. But even as a janitor, you can still have where there's something else you want to do as a second win. And that's where, people like us come into play.
Yeah. You spend one day in New York City and, based on trash, because they still put all their trash on the corner right out on the street, not like maybe where you live, where the trash goes, in certain bins, and then you set them out, like all the garbage is out there on the street. It's incredible. And if someone wasn't cleaning that up, you made really great analogies today, Krystylle. And I want, I definitely, for your book, you've got some online stuff. Tell us a little bit about how my listeners can reach out to you. What is the best line for them to reach out to you, to connect with you? I want to make sure that, if there's something they can download quickly or grab one of your books, that we have those links available for them to be able to do that. Because I agree with you. If we're going to increase our resiliency and grow our emotional intelligence, we really do need to be reading on a regular basis and educating ourselves, because if learning is beneath you, leadership is beyond you. So you have to choose. Do you want to be a leader or not? Do you want to increase that? So tell them where they can find you, Krystylle.
Yes. And so if you're looking at the screen, my name has a unique spelling from my parents, even though people are like, when did you change your name to that spelling? I'm like, as if my parents couldn't be creative. But it's KrystylleRichardson.com, KrystylleRichardson.com. And there you can get my information. You can get the links to my books, The 51 Powerful P's of Public Speaking. There's The Power of Proximity. I see you have the Impact book back there. I'm in one of the Impact books. There's all these different books that I've been in, and books that I write. And also I have various seminars and different things that are online. And so you definitely can go to KrystylleRichardson.com, and it can lead you to other places. If you do want to have a quick biz review related to a second win, you have an idea, you can get a biz workup on buildthatbiz.com. That's build that biz.com. And I love with the geeky part, engineering part of me talking about risk and how we can reduce investment risk, because you may have a company that you want someone to invest in, or you may even want to know yourself, like, how well am I doing from a risk perspective, business continuity, disaster recovery, software risk, hack risk, like all these different things. And so reduceinvestmentrisk.com is another one of my sites. But KrystylleRichardson.com is the main one.
Okay. And we've got those links below so they can click on any of those links, and we'll make sure they're able to get there. And of course, you can always follow Krystylle on Instagram. It's always a great place to get additional videos and content and be able to help that person stay in your circle. And here's the other thing I want to say. If you are starting a business, or you are out there and somehow you feel isolated, alone, on this island, it really helps to have fueled people around you. It really helps to have that content streaming on your phone on a regular. And I would say the people that are negative, that are streaming on your feeds, get rid of them. Stop and unfollow them, because they're not serving you. They're not serving your purpose. They're not serving your energy. So just start, pouncing them out of the feed. That's what I do. I'm like, no,
I don't. Be intentional how we spend time. Like you said, you wake up in the morning and you're reading. We have to be intentional about what comes in here, what comes in here, what comes in here. Like, that's right. It's all intentionality.
Yeah. And read the Bible. Pray, y'all. Come on. Like, really, for me, that's a huge thing, because right there, I know I'm not alone from just that one step. But again, to each their own and what everyone believes in. I know Krystylle and I believe in God, and that's who, we're going to choose to follow and pray to give us the strength that we need in our businesses as well. So KrystylleRichardson.com. Krystylle, you've been an amazing guest. And I just want to remind everyone, you're the only you that's ever been. You're the only you that's ever going to be. So if you're still waiting for someone else to give you permission for you to make the decision, like, oh, wait, I just heard what Krystylle said today. She said everyone should have a business, but I work in corporate America. But, I never thought about starting a business as a tax write-off for a lot of areas I could write off for something I could sell that I never even thought about would be a great idea. That's when you want to pick up the phone and call Krystylle. That's when you want to go onto Krystylle's website and connect with her and say, I heard what you said on the podcast. How would I do that? And she's going to help you get the innovation and the drive and sit down and go over all that with you. So I love that, Krystylle. Great, great ideas today. And of course, I love you to death. I just think you're the most loving and sweetest and kindest person. And I love being in your circle and your energy. And thank you so much for being a guest on today's show and sharing that knowledge. And I know that some people have stopped and been like, hey, wait, what did she just say? Right? If you felt like that today, that's your sign that you need to reach out to Krystylle. So it's very easy. Just click on the link and go straight to her website and connect with her there. So Krystylle, thank you again for being on the show. And to all of you, until next time, bye-bye for now. And don't forget, be you and be strong.
We hope you enjoyed our show today, as our guests shared their secrets on designing their life by taking the necessary leaps to expand their influence and attract the right people and clients into their lives. To start these easy steps for yourself, be sure to visit www.colleenbiggs.net/freebies to download the 7 ways to increase your exposure today.